Okay guys, what we have here is a Sony E mount and a Fujifilm mount of a XE1. Why do I have them here? I had a couple of cameras that got broken, and I'm a curious sort of guy. I like to take things apart and see what's inside them. Like you can see, I've taken these lenses apart here. Got some lenses around here. I like looking at the apertures and seeing what's going on in there. Anyway, it's just me. But anyway, a YouTube video recently was put up that spoke about how flimsy the Sony mounts were and what a terrible thing that was. So I was sort of like, oh, are they really that bad? Let me have a look. I've got the opportunity to have a look at one here. So anyway, this here is the Sony mount, and this here is the Fujifilm mount. Now the Sony mount, the E mount, is a little bit larger, this whole diameter, than the Fujifilm. The Fujifilm's APS-C only, and they sort of designed it, I'm guessing, to only ever accommodate a lens that would be used for APS-C. Now the E mount is designed to be used on their APS-C mount camera systems as well as their full frame systems. So hence the slightly larger hole in the middle, because if you've got a larger sensor behind there, you need to be able to accommodate a lens that's large enough to throw the light onto that larger sensor. So that's the differences there. Now looking at the Fuji mount, it is really a strong little chunk of metal here. It's really strong. It's got 6 holes that strap it to the body, 6 screws. The flanges are steel. The whole thing's made out of steel. It's a nice little bit of machined metal there. Yeah. Very nice, very strong. There's no flex there. I can't bend it. I'm not the strongest person in the world, but you know, I probably could snap it if I really wanted to. But I don't want to, you know, strain my back and everything. But yeah, that's a pretty tough mount. I mean, you'd not have any doubts that your lens is gonna fall off that one. Now going over to the E mount. This is off a A6000, this is off a XE1. The Sony E mount on the A6000 is interesting, because I always sort of assumed, I just sort of looked at it like that on the camera body, and it was like, oh yeah, that's a metal mount, that's alright, didn't think too much about it. But actually, the metal bit is just a ring that sits on the outside there. It's pretty thin. I could bend that in half pretty easily, but I don't want to because I kind of like it. But that's pretty thin bit of metal. It's got 4 holes as opposed to the 6, and the 4 holes go through this back part of the mount. Now this is really the actual mount. This is what holds your lens in place. This is what holds your lens in general. That's the flanges. They're what the flanges on the lens lock together. So the lens flange will go underneath there, and that's what's holding your lens. On this, this is a very thin piece of plastic too, and I'll tell you, it kind of doesn't give you much confidence as to it holding your lens. But I guess it does a job. I've never had a mount failure on a Sony camera, and I have used like the 70-200 f4 on my A6000, and I never noticed any issue there. Probably more so because you're more holding the lens in that case than the actual body, because the body's so small and light. But this is definitely a thin, cheap little piece of plastic. It's a bit of a worry in seeing it. I mean, if I'd never taken it apart, I would never have noticed. Actually, I probably wouldn't have thought twice. I would have just assumed that my Sony had a metal mount. But it's a clever little disguise they've got there. And that's what I believe it really is. It is a disguise. That's just to give you that confidence that, oh, I've got a metal mount. Yeah, that's great. But actually, nope, you got a plastic mount. This is your little plastic flimsy mount here. In saying that, don't get me wrong, I love my A6000. I reckon it's one of the best cameras going. Yeah, I'll do another video about that. But yeah, a bit disappointing that they didn't put a proper metal mount. I mean, I can understand they want to keep the weight down, but I mean, I don't know. These aren't Formula 1 cars, are they? You know, is it that desperate that to keep the weight down that you got to skimp on a metal mount? You got to have this plasticky, crappy sort of mount? I mean, come on, Sony. This is the sort of thing that's giving you a bad rap. People hate the plastic mount. I mean, people always talk about mounts on lenses, and they say, oh man, it's got a metal mount or a plastic mount, you know. So this has got a metal mount. That's actually the Fuji mount there. And you can see it would go on like so, and then you turn it and it's locked on. Okay, nice and solid, very good. But really the only thing holding your lens on is that little flange. Okay, that little flange is what holds this flange, this flange, this flange, three of them, and there's three on the lens. That's what's holding your lens on your camera. No matter how big the lens is or how small it is, that's what's holding it on. And in the Sony case, you got three little tabs of probably about 1 mil thick plastic holding your lens in place. So, a bit concerning. But I can't say I've seen one fail, but just a bit concerning. And I like how they cover it up with the aluminium, nice embossed E-mount cover here to give you that confidence that I've got a metal mount when actually you got a plastic mount. Yeah, that's a bit of a cop out, that is. But yeah, in saying that, definitely the other guy who did a review on this is absolutely correct. This Sony mount is flimsy and cheap, and this Fuji mount is rock solid. So yeah, if mounts are your thing, I concur. Anyway, enough about that. Hope to make some more videos in the future, and actually I'm going to talk about this Sony A6000 pretty soon, because for me that is one of the best cameras going. Anyway, talk to you later. Bye.